Freddy is very disappointed in you, and he wants you dead.
Oh, shit.
Hey guys, Society Reviews here, my review of the film Flight Risk. Well, it's 2025, and so far the cinematic season has started off like a wet fart in church. 3 weeks into the new year, and there's only been one major release, and unless you want to watch Gerard Butler and Ice Cube's son fight over who gets the last box of donuts, needless to say, there hasn't been much for cinema fans to start the year. The name Mel Gibson, however, still carries a lot of weight, and it's been quite a while since we've seen Mel in the director's chair for a film. The last time we saw Gibson direct a movie, it was 2016's Hacksaw Ridge. The last time we saw Gibson in the director's chair was the 2016 film Hacksaw Ridge, a film that not only got award recognition, but also was my top film of 2016. Mel Gibson as a director has a lot of power in his pool, but the question is, will we still feel the same way about his latest film, Flight Risk? Flight Risk is a film starring Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Dockery, and Topher Grace. When a shady accountant is arrested deep in the heart of Alaska, a U.S. Marshal, Madeline Harris, is responsible for bringing the fugitive back to the mainland states in order to testify against his employer. The two decide to take an unmarked flight from Anchorage, Alaska to Seattle to stay under the radar of any potential threats. The two are joined by a pilot with a southern drawl and a knack for inappropriate jokes. On their way to Seattle, they discover that the pilot is not who he seems to be. They realize their flight has been compromised by an assassin who's trying to prevent the accountant from testifying to the federal government. Flight Risk is a textbook definition of a bottle film. The majority of the movie is set in one location, and that is the plane the size of a small apartment. All of the plot progression happens in one location, which means it's up to the actors and the characters to sell the film. Topher Grace is a neurotic small-time informant who has information that can bring down a much larger organization tied to the United States government, and as a result, he is the person of interest for everyone in the movie. Michelle Dockery plays a sole U.S. agent who is responsible for retrieving the informant and hopes of working her way back up the ladder after the incident had a mark on her record. Then you have a pilot played by Mark Wahlberg who is a hitman using a stolen identity and is a complete psychopath. Add a few voices of characters who are on the radio but aren't seen on screen, and you have all the bare bone pieces for this project. Flight Risk is a film that doesn't take itself too seriously, so there is some degrees of silliness in the film. The premise does call into question why a single U.S. Marshal will be assigned to a high-profile informant, which will put the conflict of the movie in question. The film does try to answer some of these questions by having a subplot of federal double-crossing happening in the movie, so that the threat is not only inside of the cabin, but outside of it as well, as Madeline struggles to figure out who she can trust, knowing her communication lines have been compromised. Grace's character of Winston is so neurotic that he can definitely border on the line of annoyance, but at the same time, he's the film's only sense of comedic relief in a scenario that is high octane the second the plane hits the sky. Mark Wahlberg does his best villain impersonation in this movie in a performance that allows him to be a full-fledged bad guy, which is something that he hasn't gotten to do recently in his career. Flight Risk is a very simple film, and that's why it works in many ways. You're not going to get Hacksaw Ridge or Braveheart from Mel Gibson in the director's chair this time around. What you end up with is a tense action thriller that relies on character progression and twists for its entertainment. It may not be a glowing endorsement, but Flight Risk is probably the best movie you're gonna see this month. That is, unless you're holding out for Dogman. I give this film a 3 out of 5.
I'm gonna enjoy this.